Police Minister Bheki Cele visited Krugersdorp again. This is the area where 8 women were robbed and gang raped while filming a music video in July. Cele was in the West Rand to assess progress made by the specialized policing unit that he deployed there about a month ago. Asked about how long he intends to keep the units there, he wasn't sure but said he would return again to engage with the residents.
One thing that we committed ourselves as we came here is that we will come back to the community to find out how better life is in that particular time. This is not the trip. That one will have to go back to the community as we did come. So we are not going to reduce the availability and sustainability of the police until we come back to the community to say, here we are, can we hear from you? What do you think could be done now? Can we withdraw? I know they will say, don't withdraw. But for now, we want to sustain, we want to remove the people that they talk about. We have removed quite several factories. A very big number of people have been arrested here around this area, which we believe that is softening the level of crime, but indeed with a full acceptance that more still has to be done.
Well, the local residents have told the minister that they continue to live in fear. This as criminal activities continue in the area.
So we are not sure noma basazobuya kulo muzi noma abasazobuya. Okay. No kulungile kuba mnandi ukubabona ngelilanga labo mama but singafisa ukuzwa uma ukuthi ingane ukuthi ingane njani. Sizozama ukuthi siphathumelele ama-social worker because it doesn't help much ukuthi kube yimini ama-social workers okwazi ukuthi abasize.
Right, to say a little bit more with that story then. Here to help us unpack the experience of the residents, we're joined by David Selemego, who is a resident of Kagiso township, and West Village community member Nicolene Tromp. Good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus. Nicolene, let's begin with you. The 8th, I think, or maybe after the rape of the 8th, earlier on in August, shall I say, you said the poor standard of protection and safety in the area has increased paranoia and anxiety for the residents, whether inside their homes or out on the streets. And the police's response to this via the police minister was that no community member must be a prisoner of crime and ruthless criminals who act with impunity. Residents have a right to feel safe and to sleep at night. And there was this deployment then of all the units that we can possibly talk about tonight, the TRT, the NIU, the K9 teams, and so on and so forth, to flush out illegal miners. 100 or so illegal miners have been arrested. Are you feeling safer today than you did a month ago?
It is hard to say if we are 100% safe or not. Because remember, we stay amongst these people. What the police say and what the police do are two different things. Yes, we do applaud them for the visibility that they had shown since the minister came in Krugersdorp for the Imbizo. And but remember, for us, we had made a mention that the police don't have the capacity to be dealing with this because we are talking about an organized, very well organized syndicate. And as we know that this industry, it is a multi-million-dollar industry, so it won't be easy for them to up and leave. Therefore, our safety is still in limbo. When you think of what can be done and how far they can go. because already there are talks as to how they are planning. They are careful as to currently our names are on the list because they feel that we are very troublesome. We have caused trouble to them. But for me, it is not them that we are wary of. It is their funders, those that they are working for. Because we know that these Zamazamas are not taking the gold to Lesotho or Mozambique. It is sold here in South Africa. Those are the people that we are waiting for. Those are the people that we want to see behind bars. Those are the people that we want to see justice served to them. Because all the number of deaths and all the women that have been raped, it is in their hands. It is in their hands.
Yeah. David Selemego, the big issue was, of course, the poor enforcement of laws, amongst other things. Of course, there's unemployment in the area. There is this issue of poor enforcement of laws, which I want us to really focus on because, of course, the other issues are economic and maybe even long-term. But as far as the safety and security concerns that have been raised by the residents of Kagiso, how far do you think this particular deployment has gone to addressing those issues?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mdluli, for inviting us here. Mr. Mdluli, yes, we do applaud Mr. Bheki Cele for what he has done. He had promised to deploy, he has deployed. But the main thing that we need to understand is that their safety is still compromised until they go to the root of the problem. Because now we're just dealing with a minor, guys, we're just dealing with minors, of which now the root is not being dealt with. And these people, they know. With our policing system, they know that there is no consistency. They know they are going to be there for a few months, 2 months, and after that, what's going to happen is the same. We're going to fall back to the same thing. And we, as the community of Kagiso, we decided that what are we going to do? We're going to start assisting the police in the sense of we're going to do our own neighborhood watch. Because I think that's one thing that can be able to assist with that. Because with the police, they will only go to certain areas. Because we have seen the visibility is there. They are visible. Nowadays, obviously, the crime has reduced. But it does not mean that is the end. Because it won't take a day for it to end. We will still need more time. Because consistency will be the key. If the police can be consistent in going after these Zamazamas, we have seen, as the minister have said, we have seen hundreds being arrested. But still, we have more that are still remaining behind.
Yeah. How then would you describe the type of police work that should be employed there to be able to deal with this issue of illegal mining in a more sustainable and a more permanent way?
I think what could be done here, the best way would be, let us get these Zamazamas being deported out. But now, let us get these mines being rehabilitated. Let us get people do this small mine, give them small mining skills. Let us do, that's something that they call the ground mining. I think this will help to deal with that. Because just arresting them, taking them away, they are still going to come back. Because the mine shaft will still remain. But up until the minister, like when Montage comes to, the Minister of Minerals comes forward, and then we rehabilitate these mines, I think that is the only way that we'll be able to deal with this issue of Zamazamas.
Yeah. And in your view, in your mind, are there still the illegal operations happening there, or has this deployment in any way managed to push back some of those illegal mining operations?
So far, with what has been happening around, the deployment has managed to push back. That's why I was saying in the beginning, remember I said earlier on that these people, at the moment, we might just say, probably they are just lying low. As soon as they know that now the deployment, the police have been retrieved, they might start again. But for now, honestly, uploading the police and the TRT, the task forces that have been sent out, they have pushed them back.
Yeah. Nicolene, you were quite upset to say it took the rape of the 8 for the police to respond. And you said, in your own words at the time, that you know of one woman was raped by 20 men, and there was no action and no movement on the police. In fact, you're touching on it now a little bit as well, to say when you went to the police station to open a case, the people were already tipped off that you had gone to open a case at that time, and you had generally lost hope with the policing itself. Has that situation improved?
With the police, we had not yet heard that the police were arrested, the police that were in cahoots with the Zamazamas. So up until we hear and we are told that there's police that have been arrested in the Krugersdorp police station, we will then applaud the police. But currently, we are still very much skeptical as to, do we have to trust them? Do we have to, as much as they are around? And we've also recently heard that they had been spotted with them and saying that they should not worry, they'll be free the way they were before and still collecting money. However, you should also know that the people can also disseminate the information that is not true. So I had not seen that happening. However, I had heard reports had come that the police are still in cahoots with the Zamazamas. I heard David saying that the Zamazamas had been pushed back. They had not been pushed back. In West Village, we have mines that are operating, that these Zamazamas are there. We are told of their activities, and we had given the police these reports, but it seems as if it's not yet, they had not yet received any tangible thing, or they had not done any arrests yet, because they were told there's video footages as to these Zamazamas still operating, but still we had not heard anything positive in that regard. So they had not yet been pushed back. However, they are laid back. They are a bit careful and cautious. But we, as I've said before, we are talking about a multi-million-dollar industry. So up until as David had said, that the Minister we've been calling for him that please rehabilitate and put the miners in questioning as well, put the miners responsible for leaving these mining shafts open and exposed. So, but there's a lot that can be done in order to protect the people, you know, the communities that are surrounded by these mines. So Mr. Gwede Mantashe must come forward. He must face the communities himself. That's why we applaud Mr. Bheki Cele, because he had come down to the people and come heard the cries of the people. But then all these other departments, it's like they don't hear the cries of the people. Mr. Gwede Mantashe, for instance, had been called and he had been summoned that please see these communities, because it is in your hands that these mines are still operating. Hence, he was asked if it is not financial suicide for him, then he must come and face the people. He must come and apologize to the people himself.
Now, I want to hear from you in terms of this issue. You're saying, yes, there is still illegal operation happening, but there are about 4 things that you had cited. One is violence towards residents. 2 is intimidation. 3 is theft. And 4 is harassment. Are those things still happening right now?
Intimidation is still there. We had not heard any reports of violence or people being mugged or people being murdered or raped. However, before we spoke, there was gunshots that have been fired, I think about 30 minutes before we resumed the meeting. So these things, and remember, to us, it was not only about the police visibility. We had mentioned quite a number of things that needed to be put in place within West Village, so to ensure the safety of the communities. None of those things had been done. The municipality himself, the mayor, had publicly declared that he will put up street lights in West Village. He will take care of the field that needed to be, the grass that needed to be cut. The community had to step up and cut the grass themselves by the help of people, a couple that saw our grievances, that saw the news and came down to the people and offered their services as to cut the bush that was problematic. There are still no street lights. We had been pleading even with ESCOM. ESCOM is telling us that West Village is not their vicinity, even though they give electricity in bulks to, they supply electricity to West Rand Powers. So they said we must speak to the Mogale City and to the West Rand Powers. And all these people are pointing fingers at each other. We even asked that just donate the Apollo lights, then we will source out who will be maintaining, as long as we know that the communities is safe and there's light in the community. Because as long as the West Village is still a ghost town, it will keep on attracting violence in all these horrendous crimes.
What is the Mogale City Mayor saying? I mean, one of the things was that he needed to wait for budgeting of the new financial year. So what am I asking? I'm asking, is there an indication that there is a plan? Maybe the lights are not yet up, but there is a plan in place that would be implemented in the next couple of months, maybe if not the next couple of weeks?
If there was a plan in place, we would have been notified. There is no plan in place.
Yeah.
Hence, there's no plan in place. The Mogale City has not come to the people themselves and speak about what they had publicly declared on national TV, how they're going to put up the streetlights. Hence, we sourced ESCOM for ourselves and asked help from ESCOM. But that was that fell on deaf ears, because none of these departments wants to give back to the community. None of them cares about the well-being of the community, because what we had argued with ESCOM is that even if you supply electricity in bulk, you're not supplying for free. You are given money. There is an exchange of money which comes from the West Village people. So the least that you can do, it is at least to donate the Apollo lights, so that if Mogale City does not have enough budget, there is budget to maintain and sustain the Apollo lights, rather than everyone else must point a finger to another at the expense of people that are buying the electricity, at the expense of people that are voting in this country. Yeah. As we speak, West Village did not have water since yesterday. We still don't have water in our taps. So the Mogale City has rejected West Village. But when they come on TV, they make all these promises, but nothing. None of the promises they make are coming to life. None of the things they promise the community is coming to life, because we've been on this path with them since February. We've been asking, please put up streetlights, please have the grass cut, but none of those things. And we'll be told, no, it will be done, it will be done. So it's clear they are not planning on assisting West Village in any way. And they leave us in limbo, because then they say that West Village it does not fall under the Mogale City. However, the mining companies 32 years ago gave the municipality, gave over West Village to the municipality. So for 32 years, West Village has been paying rates and taxes to the municipality, but yet the municipality does not recognize West Village.
David, what we saw residents of Kagiso also doing, they undertook this task, as you said, as the community, to go and flush out illegal miners who reside in some of their houses, or maybe back rooms, or they are renting. I'm not quite sure what the situation was, particularly around those operations that you were carrying out. Are those operations still continuing? And how are you dealing with the question of homeowners who are renting their homes to illegal miners?
Okay, so as the community in Kagiso, what we did, first of all, as the colleague has already alluded, like these things we take to the police, we report to the police, and after reporting, then the police, they still do nothing with the situation. That was up until the community thought, okay, let's do this. We have to come together. Let us flush out, because this illegal mining somewhere, somehow was part of the crimes that were taking place in Kagiso. I don't want to say all the crimes. There are those petty crimes, but they were more of the crimes that were being committed in Kagiso. So we took initiative. We went to those houses that we had. Some of them were supplying the Zamazamas with electricity. They were supplying them with water. And obviously, I will just, let me just say this, Mr. Mdluli. We need to understand this illegal mining or this Zamazama story, it includes all the department. Because if you go to someone who is renting out electricity to the Zamazamas and you say to them, cut off the electricity, they will tell you, in this situation, I'm living in poverty, I'm not working, then how am I going to be able to sustain my kids? So we went out, we make sure that we flushed out, we destroyed the sheds, we went out, we cut off the electricity supply that was going there. And the homeowners, most of them were just warned, and the police spoke to them not to do that again. So then, but another thing that needs to be done is, let this not just be for Mr. Bheki Cele. The Minister of Minerals, Labor, people, they need to come together so that we can be able to root out all of this. Because we need to check what is the cost. Because somehow, these illegal miners, they see an opportunity and they use that opportunity. Because as soon as they see a loophole between our government, then they will use that loophole. And with that loophole, that's where they ended up destroying the communities. They end up committing crimes. They ended up as well destroying as well whatever that we're having in the community. That's why we decided to take and say that we're going to take a stand. We're not going to allow these people to come in to push us back and come to terrorize us in our own community. And then that's when now Mr. Bheki Cele, when he came, we gave him a chance and the police. And as we gave them a chance, we just want to see how are they going to be consistent, because that's what we plead with our community. We pleading with the police that please be consistent. Let this not be an operation for now. As Nicolene has alluded that all this happened after those 8 women were being raped. All before, we had cases of people being raped by illegal miners and nothing was being done. So, but now, let's hope as we move forward that there will be consistency from the police side. They will be able to take this further and let us push this illegal mining out of our system.
Speaking of consistency on the police side, one of the other issues that were raised was the inadequate service delivery at police stations. Now, you've already mentioned that you are, as a community, conducting your own community policing work, which should, in fact, be done hand in hand with the police themselves. How is your access to the police station? Has that improved? Is there cooperation in terms of the CPF work that you're doing?
Honestly, I will say this. There is no a good relationship between the community and our police system. As Nicolene has already alluded, somehow, if you come forward with information, the same police that we're supposed to trust, supposed to be the one protecting us, they're the ones who leak the same information to the same people that you come to report. That's why I will say to you, the relationship between the community in Kagiso and our police, it's not a good relationship at all.
All right. I appreciate your time. Thank you all for coming on tonight and for sharing your experience as the residents on the ground. Of course, this follows that oversight visit that was done by the police minister earlier on today. That is Kagiso resident David Selemego, as well as Nicolene Tromp of West Village.